a disk floating through space with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm Fight the Flat Earth, and welcome back to the channel that does the stupidity what Kyle Curtis has done to the Non Sequitur Show. Tonight is, well, this is the second of two debates tonight. I just had a lovely conversation with Spurs Gizmo that made my brain very, very sad. Jared, did you watch that?
Just remember, he's a bullshit artist.
Very good at it, definitely. The denying a pressure gradient blew my mind, honestly. I literally didn't know how to respond to that.
Basically, the thing you have to remember with skid mark there is if it disproves the potential for flat Earth and can only legitimately be explained by the standard model, otherwise known as the globe Earth, he will deny it just on face of it. He won't even give it a chance.
A contrarian, pretty much.
Contrarian at that.
Right, so tonight we have Schrodinger's Cat and Zoom Truth. Honestly, Zoom Truth, I haven't met you or seen your videos before. I'll give you this opportunity to just take 5 minutes to introduce yourself, if you like.
Cool.
As you went into the channel.
Yeah, you guys hear me fine?
Yeah, we can hear you good. Do you have a camera? Or?
I do, yeah.
Right, okay, sorry, 1 sec. I will put your camera on. My bad, I had it off. Give me 1 second.
No biggie, no biggie.
Right, there we go. Your camera is now showing to everybody.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, I came on just because I figured maybe we could get somewhere. It seems often that these conversations are just locked in people, holding to their own views. So I'm not sure how far this will go, but I think that there are things that don't make sense for a ball Earth, and hopefully we can discuss some of those things. I'm not going to go over every single flat Earth proof because you guys already know them. So I think we got to somehow delve in a different direction or something. But that's about all I have to say. I do some activism out on the streets with people. It seems like there are a number of people who do question things, and I'm able to have a conversation with those people. And then there's a larger number of people who, laugh and ridicule. So that's where I'm at.
Right, thanks for that. Well, for the rest of the night, I'm basically going to hand it over to Jared to look after the show. He's that side. There's a format that you guys had agreed to with presentations and stuff. So, Jared, over to you.
So, with that, we've actually already given David his opportunity to have his introduction on where he stands and why he is here. So let's do an impromptu coin flip for who will go first for your 10-minute uninterrupted presentation to support your position. And since Dave... Oh, you want to give your intro? I figured you weren't really there.
That's in dispute, but even if I'm not, shouldn't I get 5 minutes?
Yeah, of course.
I get to leave 5 minutes if I'm not here. Actually, really quickly, let's see. I don't know how well this will show up onto the camera, but this was my Father's Day gift. Can you see
awesome.
that?
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Schrodinger's Cat Beerstein.
Nice.
Okay, forgive me. I'll be reading this off of my big monitor, so I won't quite be looking exactly at the camera. Thanks for hosting us, Craig, and thanks, Jared, for being the moderator. I'm Schrodinger's Cat, and I have a channel by the same name. I usually make flat Earth debunking videos. I do a few other things on my channel as well. I just started a brand new channel with MA2 Fletcher Eisler called Guns and Stuff 556. On that channel, we are going to be talking about all things firearms related. A little about me. I served 22 years in the United States Navy. I've sailed the majority of the world's oceans. I've seen the effects of Earth's curvature firsthand. I discovered the flat Earth hypothesis around 2015. I thought it was just some people playing a prank or a parody or something. And then being on deployment one time, being bored, watching some videos, I found out these people are actually serious. And so what I did was I said, hey, I can debunk this. And that's exactly what I did. And in my experience, flat earthers are people who's found out about flat earth, said they were going to debunk it, and failed. So today I'm going to be debating Zoom Truth about his flat earth hypothesis. As far as I can tell, he actually believes it. He's also a sovereign citizen, and he believes all manner of other conspiracies. He has multiple videos on his channel where he takes to the streets preaching the flat earth doctrine. It seems to me like he's a devotee to the flatearth101.com, which is plagiarized from an anti-Semitic yoga instructor who plagiarized it from a 18th century charlatan. I am here prepared with positive evidence for flat earth, and I hope and trust that he is here prepared with positive evidence. Did I say that backwards?
Yeah.
I'm here prepared with I'm here prepared with evidence for a globe Earth, and I trust and hope that he's here prepared with evidence for the flat Earth. I'm sure there's going to be some flat earthers in the chat, so I wore a T-shirt that's going to help them make their comments more coherent. So just in case, while they're typing, they can reference my T-shirt for extra help. I'll also be playing Flat Earth Bingo. I've got a sheet here that I'll be Xing them off as we go, and I will relinquish the rest of my time to the moderator.
I do have one question about your bingo card.
Yes, sir.
Once it is full, is that when the hookers and blow show up?
If I'm lucky.
Oh, with you all have met the two. Wait,
here or show up where you are. Yeah.
why not both?
Well, there's 3 sailors.
And
here,
I don't
so get some.
Just remember, you can't spell beer without R.
Arr.
All right, so now into the meat of all of this. Now, do either of you have a preference on who wants to go first, or should we quite literally do a coin toss for it?
I'd prefer to go second if I could.
That's fine.
All right. All right. Well, David, you have 10 minutes to give your presentation on why you have come to the conclusion that the Earth is not an oblate spheroid. When you start talking, your timer will begin.
Okay, super. Yeah, I guess 2 years ago I heard about flat Earth, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard. I think it was Kyrie Irving was in the news a few times. So I guess couple times in the news, and I was like, why would anybody think that? What is going on that someone would want to say something so stupid, that the Earth is flat? And at some point, I guess I looked into it, maybe after a week or two. So one of the things I think that leading up to that point, though, was I had recently been able to to stop working a full-time job. And I had a lot of time on my hands. And I think that the time allowed me to get out of this mode of where it's just work. I had my own business, my family business. And, that's all I had this tiny scope of what was going on in the world. So all of a sudden I have this free amount of time. I hear this, and some of my time I'm spending watching YouTube, because I had previously voted for Donald Trump during the elections because I hated Hillary Clinton. I was like, no, I didn't really like Donald Trump, but I voted. Looking back on it now, I laugh that I voted. So so I voted for Trump. He's talking about how there's not going to, he's against war, he's this, that. And like 3 months later, I think we're shooting missiles. I forget where, but we're shooting missiles. And I'm like, what? Freaking, he's another liar? Because the only other time I think I voted was way back with Obama. So I voted twice in my life. I'm ashamed to admit. So anyhow, when that happened, I was like, wow, these people are freaking liars, man. They just lie. And then the news was so one-sided on Trump. And, you go to Fox, it's pro-Trump. You go to CNN, and it's the other side. And it's like so obvious that this shit is propaganda. So, or at least it became obvious, I guess, finally. Like, I think I'd known it, but I think a lot of people see it. But, I was too busy working. So anyhow, long story short, I hear about this flat Earth thing, and I had previously, like a month prior in January of 2017, I heard about the Holocaust, and looking into that story, and so that kind of like I was like, that's kind of strange. What they're saying, the math didn't seem to add up to me for certain parts of that. So I was like, wow, what is going on here? And I thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard of. And, a month later, I'm hearing about flat Earth. And I'm like, it's so, what was so funny is that I had reached a conclusion with the other thing. I'm not even going to bring it up because I don't want to ruin channels here. But reached a conclusion with that. And I still was like incredulous that, people would believe that the Earth could be flat. So finally I looked into it. And I started understanding that I had made I had always just okayed everything. I was taught I lived on a ball, and I really didn't understand the mechanics of general relativity, of gravity. I watched the space shuttle go up, and I thought we were in space. And when I looked into it, I just saw too many inconsistencies everywhere. It was like 9/11. I don't know if any of you guys ever thought, questioned any aspects of 9/11. But, there is a lot of strange anomalies that took place during 9/11. So there's a great story, Plato's Cave. And it's about the people who, you guys are probably familiar with Plato's Cave, I hope. That's a cool story, but there's these people, they're all stuck in this cave. And and they have they have shadows that end up representing things to them that they believe are real. And this one guy busts out of the cave, and he sees that there is actually a whole nother world out there. He goes back in to tell the people about all these other things, about this whole other world that exists, and none of the people believe him. And it really feels like we're living that existence. That's by Aristotle, I think, or whoever made that. So whoever made that allegory, I guess it is. But it's a really interesting story because we're literally living that right now. I told my friends about the Holocaust and 9/11 prior, and basically I lost a lot of friends immediately, and it seemed just to go just along with Plato's Cave. The guy goes back in to help everybody, to help them escape this prison that they're in, and everybody laughs at him. So as far as flat Earth goes, you've heard all the evidence, man. It's we're not finding a curve. Neil deGrasse Tyson's talking about a football being affected by the Coriolis effect, and meanwhile, you can hover in a helicopter and it doesn't affect the helicopter. I spoke to a NASA scientist on the boardwalk the other day. Or at least he claimed to be a NASA scientist, and he said, "Oh, the helicopter pilots do account for the spin of the Earth." So there's just a ton of inconsistencies. So there's a ton of inconsistencies, and it made me start questioning things. So water being level is another one. I mean, you guys know all the flat Earth proofs. I'm really looking, hopefully, to more get to the discussion part, so I can understand why it seems like there seems to be no. The storyline is, for the majority of people, that the government gives is in their minds the truth. And that kind of blows my mind that people trust the government at that level, where they don't think it's possible that a lie this size, I guess, could take place. I know it seems extraordinary in the beginning, but when you start to pick apart little pieces of it and see the discrepancies or the whatever, these things that you could find, I don't know how to explain it. Anyhow, you get to that point and you start saying, how did I come to believe I lived on a ball? And at that point, I no longer believe I live on a spinning ball. It just there's too many questions for me about a spinning ball. A flat Earth makes more sense. I'd say that's about where I'm at right now. That's all.
So that's it. We're relinquishing the rest of your time.
Sure.
All right. You still have 3 minutes if you want to give more detailed actual explanation of why you believe the Earth is flat.
No, there's no need. You guys have heard. If you haven't heard the points, then then whatever. There's no point in even discussing.
All right. To Schrodinger's cat, 10 minutes on the clock. We'll start when you begin your presentation.
Okay, I'm ready. That was sort of disappointing because you went on for 7 minutes and said nothing about why you think the Earth is flat. You said why you're incredulous about 9/11 and some other things and the government lies and things like that. You didn't actually say anything about why you think that the Earth is flat. Yet multiple times I have watched your videos when you said that and I use that term specifically. You said that that the Earth is flat. So as I said, I served in the Navy for 22 years, and a good portion of that time I drove ships, like large ships, 40,000-ton warships. And without sounding like I'm boasting, I was pretty good at it. And to be good at the job, you have to have good situational awareness. Can I have slide 1, please? Okay, one of the tools that we used to maintain our situational awareness is this device. We called it colloquially Big Eyes, and it's basically 2 telescopes made into binoculars. Can I have slide 2, please? This is a common thing that we would see. If you see the ship in the foreground, you can see nearly all of it. Most of the freeboard is visible. The ship in the background, absolutely none of the freeboard's visible. That's not because the ship is sinking. It's because it's beyond the horizon. And that is not due to perspective. As you can see, that ship takes up a good portion of the visible viewing area. Slide 3, please. I need to scroll up. All right. Okay. So what you're looking at right here is a ship that it would be an oncoming ship. So you have the mast headlight, you have the port and starboard running lights, and then you have, looks like, I can't tell what signal that is. It looks like ball over ball over ball. I'm not sure. But when you have an oncoming ship, well before we could see the port and starboard running lights, we could see that mast headlight. And that's because the port and starboard running light was beyond the horizon. Let's skip to slide 5, please. That is a satellite phone that we call a sat phone. I have used these in the middle of the ocean to make phone calls. This is hundreds of miles from any cell phone tower, any land-based communications at all. That's because we actually have satellites. And let's go to 6. That's the screen in my truck, and that's XM channel 34. I can travel coast to coast while listening to this channel without ever fading out, without changing stations. I can go through mountains and canyons and everything, that's because we have satellites. Let's go to slide 7, please. Okay, maybe you can zoom in on that a touch. Yeah, okay, you can see your latitude and longitudinal lines on these globes. Notice that the longitudinal lines converge as you approach the pole. If you look at a flat chart or map, the longitudinal lines also converge as you approach the poles, and that's because we live on a globe and not a flat plane. Let's go to 7. Yep, this is the Marine Corps TTP on, it's basically a field manual about artillery. So let's see what this says. Let's go to slide 9. And it's a little blurry for us, but I assume that it's not blurry on the live stream.
No, it should be fine for the live stream.
Okay, if you look at I can barely read it, but the what affects artillery, the things that have an effect on artillery trajectory. One of them is rotation of the Earth. And let's go to slide 10. Probably won't be able to read that either.
I'll read that out. It says the third requirement is valid MET corrections considered by each of the firing platoons. This includes the MET message valid for the firing platoon, propellant temperature, projectile weight, vertical interval, and corrections for Earth rotation.
All right, now let's go to 11. And Craig, if you could please read that as well.
And this says Coriolis effect, the change in range or azimuth caused by the rotational effects of the Earth.
Okay, and what I'll say to that is if the U.S. Navy is, or actually in this case, the U.S. Marine Corps, I think we kill people pretty effectively, and we would not be lying to ourselves in our manuals, thus rendering us less combat effective. So with that, I think all of these things point towards a globe, and that was positive evidence for a globe and not negative evidence for the Earth being flat. And I relinquish the rest of my time to the moderator.
All right. Well, now the next portion that we have is a back and forth between the two of you to question each other's beliefs and any claims that were made, which only one side actually did substantiate themselves in the presentation portion. So with that, I believe it is fair for David to actually go ahead and ask Schrodinger Cat the first question. This segment of the debate will be timed for 45 minutes, and it will begin as soon as you start asking the first question there, David.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, you guys can use any of the flat Earth proofs that you want to attack me with, and hit me on those, because I pretty much am going along with all of the basic standard stuff. So whatever you want to hit me with, we can assume that that's pretty much where I'm coming from. Regarding your what you just spoke about, the Coriolis effect, I'm so confused on this, and who knows, maybe you guys will convert me to a ball earther again right now. I don't understand how is it true, by the way? I think that didn't Einstein say that we couldn't prove whether the Earth was spinning or the atmosphere was spinning and we were stationary? I'm not sure, but if anybody knows if that's true or not, that would be helpful. But the Coriolis effect interests me because if Einstein did say that, then artillery alone proves that the Earth is rotating, which would kind of go counterclaim against what Einstein said we couldn't prove, which I think is interesting, because he was alive during artillery, wasn't he? I mean, they had artillery back in the 40s and 50s, right? So my question would be, go ahead.
What was Einstein's very next sentence after he said that?
I don't know. I'm not even sure he said that.
Well, don't you think you should if you're going to bring it up in this forum?
Well, no, I was asking if he said it. That's why I wasn't positive if it's true or not. So that's all. I had heard that, and who knows what's true and what's not these days.
Okay. The very next sentence after he said that is, although we know that the Earth is rotating. I hear flat earthers say these things, and it seems like they like to pull sentences out of context and say those sentences without referencing the full scope of what was said. Einstein did say that, and he was speaking in a certain context, that it was indistinguishable relatively whether one thing or the other was moving. And he said in the very next sentence, I can find it, or you can take my word for it.
I'd like to hear it because I don't understand the context.
Actually, while I'm in the thick of this, Craig, did you want to do that? I can look it up, but I'll just be burning my time.
I'm just, I think it is in the Albert Einstein, the Earth Mover article. I'm just looking at it now.
If he even said it, by the way.
He did say it, yes. It's a very well-known quote of his that flat earthers like to take out of context. Next question.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, while we wait for that, I would say related to that, and I just don't understand this. So I get what you're saying, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, I guess, is in agreement with you because in a recent video or an older video, I forget how old it is, he talks about a field goal that is made, right? And he says that the football either made the goal or didn't make it, and it hit the post. And he said during that kick, well, the football was affected by the Coriolis effect. Are you familiar with that one or no?
I have heard this, and I also know that
clarification.
Yes.
Clarification on that, because I actually do know that statement quite well. What Neil deGrasse Tyson said was that he was watching the end of a game, a Kansas City game, and with the way that the stadium is orientated, it was a 50-yard field goal attempt. He did the math and realized that the effect of Earth's rotation on that kicked ball was half an inch. If the Earth was not rotating, that half an inch difference would have resulted in a missed field goal instead of a made field goal.
Okay, cool. So what I don't understand is that I always hear people say that the atmosphere is like moving, right, with the Earth, right? And so if you're like, and like if you jump up and down, that the reason why the Earth doesn't move below you is because it's like when you're on a train, and you jump up and down on a train, the train doesn't leave out from under you, right? So it keeps moving, right? Is this true or not? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, so it kind of seems a little bit contradictory to me because here we are, we're saying that the atmosphere is moving, because when you jump, we know that I guess you're going to be moving with the spin of the Earth. And then yet, when you kick a football, then I just don't understand that. And hopefully you can fix that for me because I don't get that.
Yeah, I think I probably...
If I just interject back to the thank you, Mandelbrot Seb, for finding the quote for me. The paragraph that he's talking about, it reads, "While I was thinking of this problem in my student years, I came to know the strange results of the Mugson experiment. Soon I came to the conclusion that our idea about the motion of the Earth with respect to the ether is incorrect. If we admit Mugson's null result as fact, this was the first path which led me to the special theory of relativity. Since then I have come to believe that the motion of the Earth cannot be detected by any optical equipment, though the Earth is revolving around the sun." So that is the whole context of that quote.
Yes.
So that's weird. So
no, it's not.
So
weird.
what is his? But he says, what is his basis though for stating though the Earth is revolving around the sun? If it's not able to, I guess because people are in space, maybe. I guess I don't know.
people were not in space at that time. There were various observations that were being made. Special relativity was coming into its fruition. Okay, now you had asked me a question about what was it? The Coriolis force. Okay, let's do this. My handy dandy globe. Okay, so the Earth is rotating about its axis. My globe's being a jerk, sort of like this. It's turning. So if you are here, the radius is much larger than if you're up here. So if you are projecting something north or south, then up here, the Earth is turning much more slowly than it is at the equator. Therefore, you're going to have a deflection if you're projecting something north or south.
Right.
That is what the Coriolis force is. Now, if you're standing here and you jump up away from the Earth and then back to the Earth, there's no deflection because you're not actually moving north or south. I'm not sure that was the best explanation of the Coriolis force in history, but that's what it is. And all of our artillery manuals, I can show you ones from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, ad nauseum, that bear that out. And when we shoot something, we typically hit our target, as does the Royal Navy, as Craig can attest to.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you guys actually make a change for the Coriolis? And how do you do that? And so, let's say you're in a battle. So now you're literally, I guess you're in the middle of a battle and you have to figure out your orientation, and then you have to do the math. I mean, you guys were doing this by hand, or did you have a computer?
Yes, that it's pre-programmed into our firing systems. Now, if you go back to the World War II era, they had what were called knee boards, which was basically a chart, and I can show you one of them. I do have it on my computer. I'm not sure if I sent it to you, Craig. Of one of those charts.
All right.
It's actually in that Marine Corps manual that I sent it to, that tells you the deflection based on your range.
Okay, so what I don't. All right, so, real quick though, so this artillery, how long is the artillery in the air, and how far is it traveling?
Depends on the weapon system. The new railgun, the electromagnetic railgun that's going to go on the DDG 1000 series destroyer, I think it's about 110 nautical miles is the range on that one.
All right,
But
so let's say you're in a helicopter, right, and you're flying in a helicopter and you're flying due north, right, for maximum, I guess, Coriolis effect. Would that be true? Right, if you're going to be flying due north, you're going to be crossing, I guess, the lesser and lesser curvature, right? Or lesser and lesser spin. The speed of the Earth is going to be spinning far less as you move north. I'm just wondering. So, do helicopter pilots, when they fly north, are they? I guess they're accounting for that spin.
Well, helicopters and other aircraft and even guided weapon systems, such as Tomahawk missiles, they do this thing called steering. So if I'm in a helicopter, say I'm a helicopter pilot and I'm flying a course, say due north, say I'm just flying 000, I'm going to maintain that course. So I'm going to fly that course. So if I get half a degree off of my course 000, I will adjust and reacquire that course 000. So you've got to understand that this Coriolis force is really subtle. It's not like, holy shit, I just turned from 000 to 020. That's not how that works.
But wait a second. A football
waiting.
kick, supposedly. A football kicked 50 yards and in the air for a mere, how many seconds would you guys say? 3, 4, 5 seconds maybe? I don't know. 3 seconds is affected an inch for 3 seconds. If you do, I don't know what the math is, but now it's whatever, half an inch. Okay, so it's half an inch, but still a half an inch. Now you're talking, what is that? Over a minute. That's 30 inches. So I mean, it does have some effect, right?
Yes, as I said, it has some effect. But guess what? Helicopters can do. They have this this rotor on the tail of the helicopter, and what that does is.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. So you're saying they steer.
Yes.
So you're saying so helicopter pilots account for the Coriolis effect.
Either consciously or unconsciously. However, I don't know if you know the range of your typical helicopter. They're not flying hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Well, some I would imagine do. No.
Probably Jared can probably answer this better than I can. What's the say an H-60? What's the max range? About 200 nautical miles or so.
Trying to remember. Your combat range. Well, the combat range of the 60 platform full load was 250, so that was its operation range, which gave it a loiter time of an hour on station. So its linear travel limitation on a single tank of fuel without external tanks was just under 800 nautical miles.
Okay, so they're not flying cross country.
No, not on a single tank.
Even still,
800 miles.
They're flying.
800 miles.
Like I said, they're flying a heading. They're maintaining that heading. So if you're driving down a road that's 800 miles long, and it deviates, let's say 100 feet in that distance to the left, would you notice that you were gradually turning your wheel to the left, or are you just staying in the middle of the lines?
No, I'm with you. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, thank you.
Do you like, you mentioned, like, I guess you called me, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I don't know where you came up with that, but I'm not. I never claimed to be one. I had brought up the, earlier, the whatever we want to call it in World War II, where people were getting gassed. I brought that up, and I'm wondering, are there any conspiracies like that you do believe that are true, or everything you think is conspiracy people are pretty much crazy?
Give me some examples, and please don't bring up the Holocaust, because we're on Fight the Flat Earth channel.
Yeah. No, that's why I didn't even say it. I didn't want to say it. You could say the World Trade Center. You could say some of the things and occurrences in Boston or in Connecticut. Those things. Or let's say the ISS, or NASA in general, if they're lying. Do you believe like none of the evidence is compelling to you at all?
Right. So can I just ask that? Is any of that actually relevant to the shape of the Earth? It really doesn't matter. Whether you believe in a conspiracy or not doesn't change facts that can be presented. So I would rather keep the conversation about facts that can be discussed rather than if you believe in a conspiracy or not, because that fact in itself isn't relevant to the shape of the Earth.
Actually, I have a question to get this directly back on track in that mold. What issue do you take with the geometry of the Earth, David?
What issue do I take with the geometry of the Earth? I don't see curvature. We're seeing
What is your Okay, so explain what your expectation is for what your understanding of the standard model is versus what you actually observe and what you have or are able to measure for yourself to verify the claims of the standard model.
Well, all right. Well, before I answer that, I want to get. I was making a point regarding conspiracies. Do you like NASA? Their control station, right? I hear a lot of people say that flat Earth is impossible, right, because of the photos of Earth. Okay, the photo, I'm not even sure that they are photos, but let's say they are, right? But a lot of people tell me like, oh, can you believe that? Like, it's impossible that many people could be in on that conspiracy and they would keep their mouths shut. Is that like?
Okay, let me try. Let me try this again. Is there any conspiracy to do with geometry?
Well, this has to do with flat Earth. If
Yes,
NASA is
yes
lying,
or no? Yes or no? Is there
I
any
debating?
conspiracy that has to do with geometry?
Who am I debating now? Am I debating
No,
Schrodinger's cat or a moderator?
This is the moderator getting it on topic.
Okay, NASA, I would say, is
the
part of
topic
flat
is
Earth,
the shape
right?
of the Earth.
Right.
Your question specifically was about other conspiracies. What do other conspiracies have to do with basic geometry?
Let's say well, now we're talking. Well, now I have to debunk geometry.
Well, okay, all right. Let's stick with NASA, right? So,
Yeah, it's fine.
do you have any evidence that NASA has been lying that you and Cliff can talk about?
Well, that's what I was trying to get to. It's like to see if you don't think it's possible that you could contain a lie among 100 people or so, then you're not going to be able to believe that NASA could be lying, right? So is that possible that you think NASA could actually? Do you think it's possible, Schrodinger's cat, that NASA could possibly? I'm not saying they are, but would you put it in the category that you could keep hundreds of people or maybe even thousands of people quiet?
Not on the scale that you're talking about, but actually I want to say one more thing about the going back to the Coriolis force. Craig, can you bring up slide 16, please?
16, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay.
And just click that link if you could. That's a very quick video.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. I think that shows that when you're in the same reference frame, the movement doesn't matter that much. Okay. Now, you said, can NASA be hiding things? Okay. So I worked for over a year at the Joint Special Operations Command, where we did the very highest level of special operations. And I think you know what some of those are. We had to scrub many, many missions because of leakage, what we call leakage, because somebody would say something to somebody they weren't supposed to say something to. And these are people with very, very high security clearances. The White House could not hide a BJ. So how is it that these hundreds of people, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people are hiding the shape of the Earth for more than 2,000 years? Question mark.
All right. Well, this is why I asked it. Do you believe that MK Ultra is true? Like what happened with the government with MK Ultra?
What does MK Ultra have to do with the shape of the Earth, please, sir?
Well, it has to do with how many people were involved. If you look on MK Ultra, I didn't know this, but like looking into it for this, I was like, I wonder how many people were involved in the MK Ultra, and there were hundreds of universities who were involved, and this went on for like tens of years.
Excellent.
Where they
Excellent. When did
Excuse
MK
me?
Ultra start? When did MK Ultra start?
I don't know.
Can you give a guess? Ballpark it.
I would have to look it up. Let me look.
Get it within a decade.
So while you're finding that, I was actually reading a paper recently. A scientist by the name of Dr. Grimes has actually done mathematical models based on how long conspiracies can last. And basically, if you've got 500 people, then that conspiracy will be cracked within 6 years. The more people that are in the conspiracy, the less time that it's going to take to come to the surface.
It's like exponential as well.
Yeah.
So
Now,
let me ask you guys. Let me ask a question real quick. Have any of you guys
please
ever
tell me
like?
when MK Ultra started.
Oh, 1953. It looks like.
Okay, and how long has MK Ultra been known to have been a thing?
Man, holy shit, I don't know.
Since about
Let's see.
the 80s?
Yeah, I think it was Clinton, right? I think whenever Clinton was in office, they or maybe
No,
oh wait,
it was
1977. The use of chemicals and the attorney said because of the ethical needs surrounding the program, they're going to respond to. I don't know, man. I don't know when they got busted
Okay.
for it. Oh,
Well,
sometimes tragic consequences. 75, 76, they had a. Okay.
77
Okay.
was the release of the documents.
So that's like 20
Jared, I have
years.
this, please, sir.
Oh,
Okay, so
wait,
20 years.
hang on. 1977 to now was 20 years ago. A little over 20 that it was hidden.
Okay. Jared, I have this. So that was a pretty small scale conspiracy, and they could only make it last 20 years. Well,
That was a pretty
Flat
what
Earth
conspiracy? I didn't hear you.
is small scale.
What kind of small scale? Hundreds
It's
of
very
universities?
Small scale. Yes, hundreds of people. You're wanting me to believe that hundreds of thousands of people have been hiding flat Earth for 2,000 years.
Why
they
would there be
couldn't
hundreds
hide
of
a
thousands? Wait,
small
wait. You're making an assumption there. Why would there be hundreds of thousands of people?
Well, because I would have to have been on it. Craig would have to have been on it. Jared would have to have been in on it.
What?
So
Well,
four people here.
Let me
who have been
clarify
in
what
on
he just said there. Okay, so I was a submariner in the Royal Navy, and all the instruments on board the submarine work based on a globe model. So if the Earth was flat, the calculations that I would have had to make as part of my job to figure out how much fuel we needed to go from one place to another if the nuclear reactor didn't work and we had to rely on diesel instead, I had to make those calculations based on a globe. So if the Earth was flat, then I would have had to have lied to everybody on the submarine about the fuel that was being used and the amount that was needed, etc., etc. I would have had to have been in on that conspiracy because all the instruments and the calculations that you need to do this are based on the globe. So I would have had to been on the conspiracy. Everybody on that submarine would have been on conspiracy, which means that everybody on every naval vessel in every country around the world would have to be on the conspiracy. Every pilot, every co-pilot, every teacher, every scientist, the 18,000 employees at NASA.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? What happens if they just made I'm not saying this is true, but let's say did you do all the math and confirm that what the fuel amount was?
Yeah, that was part
correct?
of my job.
Right. So what I'm saying is, though, let's say they do that. They know that the distance is shorter than what it needs to be, right? So they say, okay, the math is going to cover that distance. You see what I'm saying? So they're giving you the math that would cover the distance for a flat Earth. So
Right.
you think you're on a ball, but you wouldn't know any better. Is that possible or no?
So what you're saying is all the math has been reversed engineered to make everyone that's ever done any kind of physics think that we're on a ball.
And then you have to go back and say the people that faked that are in on it. So you're still dealing with extra people who are in on it.
Well, you don't have to be in on it. You know, but you don't have to be in on it because you believe that you're on a ball. So you're doing the math according to the ball earth that you were told you live on. So you're just doing it according to what you believe. And so the math is going to support that.
Where you work. If I'm shooting a bearing to the North Star to determine my latitude, it either works or it doesn't. You can, what?
Oh my goodness.
I'm not NASA.
No.
Okay, when you're on the boardwalk in New Jersey, you're much more confident than you are right now. Throw some of those lines out that you scream at high school kids, and let's see. Let's do that. Let's do some of your boardwalk stuff.
No, well, what I was trying to just see is that like I was trying to understand, like, why would you what is it about MK Ultra that makes you believe that conspiracy is true? Like, why is that allowed to be true when just because something hasn't been, quote, outed by like the mainstream or the government, like, what is the evidence that you believe is so compelling now with MK Ultra, or you could use like the Gulf of Tonkin? Why are those acceptable, quote, conspiracies, and yet, World Trade Center, questioning the World Trade Center, questioning shootings or bombings or whatever it is that you have? What evidence is it? Like, have you looked into MK Ultra at all, or Gulf of Tonkin? And what was it that was so compelling to you?
What in the blue hell does that have to do with the shape of the Earth?
Again, I kind of have to bring it back on track here. MK Ultra and all that is lovely, conspiracies, whatever, but none of it is anything to do with the shape of the Earth. And I would really like to kind of try and keep it on facts about the shape of the Earth. So Cliff has presented you with lots of evidence that the Earth is a globe. So can you just give us one bit of evidence that the Earth is flat?
And can you comment on my Creaky Blinder t-shirt?
That's awesome.
Well, to answer your question directly, David, and I believe Schrodinger's cat and Fight the Flat Earth will agree with me on this. The reason why something like MK Ultra is started as a conspiracy theory and was then accepted was because of the amount of paperwork that the U.S. government loves to do in everything that they are doing, whether it is known at the time or not. So that tangible evidence that, yep, we got caught, we did this shit, compared to just a baseless claim about something. That is the difference here. When you can support your claim with independently verifiable information versus simply saying, nope, this is what I think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Aren't there documents that say that, like, for NASA training and like for flight, that they train over stationary, non-moving Earth, right? There's like literally documents that I've seen, unless they're fake. I don't know. Maybe they are. Have you guys seen those or no?
Well, actually, and here's what I'm going to say to that. You've known about this debate for 3 weeks, and you showed up without those?
Well, I want to just have a conversation, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong about that. I mean, I'm open to being wrong.
Do you mind if I correct him on that, Schrodinger?
I did my research. I had Craig's got what, 27, 28 slides. You showed up without anything, and you're going to tell me, hey, I heard at one point that these people said this stuff.
So,
NASA.
If I could just ask you one question, Zoom Truth, about NASA, what shape do they say the Earth is? So, Zoom Truth.
Mass flying over a flat. No, here it is, right here. NASGov. Flat. Why would they do a simulation over a flat, non-rotating Earth? It's right here.
Okay.
It's in 1988 of August. No one told me that I could have a slide presentation or anything, by the way. So no one extended that courtesy to me. No one gave me any heads up or anything like that. But that's fine. I've just found it in one second. It's a NASA. document.
Do you mind if I take this, Schrodinger, please?
Why are you interjecting for Schrodinger? Wait, I thought he was there.
This one gets me so much.
Craig,
all right, I'm sorry. Okay.
Craig, who's the one here with an aeronautical engineering degree? And I'm shutting the fuck up. So,
I know.
Schrodinger's cat. Go ahead.
Just one question about NASA for Zoom Truth. What shape do NASA say the planet is?
Well, I'm waiting just to hear about the flat rotating Earth. I would like to hear why NASA would use that in a simulation.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Because it is a simulation, and again, what can NASA do?
What? Why would they simulate? Okay. Why would they not simulate over a spinning ball? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It absolutely does, because when you're doing a simulation, you want to isolate as few variables as possible. So you keep everything stationary except the rote skills that you want the pilot to learn. So you're not going to add all these extra variables in a simulation.
Extra variable? Yeah. The spin of the Earth is an extra variable.
Yes, it
is.
I would say that's pretty significant. The spin of the Earth. Oh, all right. So connected with the spin of the Earth, we can then get in and move on to, like you said, I like to talk on the boardwalk about this. You have the atmosphere that you guys tell me is spinning with the spin of the Earth, right? So I don't understand, how is that atmosphere, as you've moved higher and higher, how is it moving faster and faster? What is the force causing that? And I actually looked it up, and I found a Harvard article. I'm not sure if you guys have looked into it. It's actually written by NASA, where it talks about the inconsistencies that this belief, I guess, because that's what it is. It's a belief. They say that this idea is fraught with inconsistencies, and I can find you the article if you want. Where is this? Here it is. It's a Harvard website, and it talks about the rotational speed of the upper atmosphere. It was done in 1966, and it starts with like the caveat that it should be emphasized that the subject is full of uncertainties. And this paper is intended to draw attention to the difficulties rather than to provide a coherent picture of the actual conditions. And this is regarding the rotational speed of the upper atmosphere. It was written by D.G. King, L.A., and R.R. Allen, whoever those dudes are, but it's provided by NASA Astrophysics Data System. So what they're saying is that if you understand that, they're saying the subject is full of uncertainties. And you guys are so sure. So you guys are smarter than rocket scientists at NASA.
Yeah, it almost seems like you pulled a couple sentences out of an article, and then you're saying, so what they're saying is, after you write
I can give you the link if you want it. Do you want the link?
Yeah.
You don't want the link.
Can you send it to Craig, and he can pull it up on the screen? And I bet that it will show that you pulled a bunch of shit out of context.
Let me put it on. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it in the chat. I can't email it. I'm going to put it in the chat so everybody can see it.
Okay, well, that will work as well.
Oh.
Now,
it didn't allow it. It didn't allow it.
Yeah, he doesn't have a
Derek. Oh, wait, David, there is an internal chat here in Zoom that you can post it in.
Okay, cool. All right, hang on one second here. Yeah. Where do I go for that? Oh, here it is. Got it. There you go.
So how ethical is it to look at an article, pull a couple of sentences out, and then say, so what they're saying is X, Y, and Z?
Well, that's what they're saying. That's what they say at the very beginning. It's like a caveat. Warning everybody, this is fraught with, what is the word? Uncertainties. The subject is full up. If you look at the abstract, the very first paragraph, look at the very first paragraph in the abstract. And by the way, they mention it again in numerous pages. But if you look in the abstract, right about the last sentence, really, it's a pretty long, second to the last sentence, I guess. No, it's the last
Yeah.
sentence.
Okay.
It should be
I'm glad
emphasized
that
that
it's catching on fire right now, because that's what I was looking for. Where in that article do either of the authors say that the Earth is not rotating? Can you point me to the paragraph where they say that?
What I'm saying is that when you put the caveat at the beginning of a paper that says this paper is intended to draw attention to the difficulties rather than to provide a coherent picture of the actual conditions. So they're almost trying to say, like, we don't know. The physical, where is it that it says?
Dude, sorry,
by the way?
stop. Right. This was written in 1966. The year is 2019, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but in
And
1966, we were going to the moon 3 years later, and they didn't know how what was going on in the atmosphere.
Okay. Does the word difficult
My brain.
equal impossible? Are those synonyms?
Difficult.
Is that a
I'm more
synonym to
concerned
the
with.
word impossible?
I'm more concerned with. It should be emphasized that the subject is full of uncertainties. That means they
Okay.
don't know,
So-
right?
So let's
Yeah,
get some clarification from the panel. Back in 1966, what was the technological state of general sciences then compared to now?
Well, we went to the moon 3 years later. We haven't gone back in 50, so I guess it was better then than it is now. We can't even go to the moon now, they say. According to Don Pettit, he says, what is it? He goes, we lost that technology.
Oh,
We don't
goodness
have the,
me.
Oh,
Don't
Oh, he
stop.
didn't say that? I'm wrong.
Please
Yeah, he
stop
didn't say
quote-
that, right?
Please stop quote mining. Like, you need to understand what the context of things actually is, because you
Right.
really don't.
I'd like to. I think it was. I'd like to go back. I'd go back to the moon in a nanosecond, but we lost that technology, and it's too difficult a process to build that.
Hold on.
That's not it.
This is my debate, moderators, please.
Yep.
I would like to take a commercial supersonic flight to the West Coast, but I can't because we don't have that technology. Is that a true statement? That was a question.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the military is capable of. Do you?
I said
It said
commercial
commercial.
supersonic flight to the West
commercial?
Coast.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true. I guess I don't
No.
believe it's true.
Now, did we have that technology?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Carry on.
we lost that technology,
We do not have that technology anymore. It has been decommissioned.
and it's too painful. So it would be too painful to build another one of those. It's too painful of a process, really? You're gonna say that? You're gonna give me that shit?
Well, if you would stop and listen, please. I am very well aware of avionics, as is Jared, one of the moderators. Would we have to update the entire electronic suite of that aircraft, Jared? Yes. Would that be painful?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exceptionally,
thank you.
both fiscally and from a manpower standpoint.
Yes. So
It would be too painful of a
if-
process to do it. You couldn't do it. It couldn't be done.
That's not what he said. He said
hang
very
on.
painful. He did not say impossible. We could bring our battleships back online if we needed to. That would be very fucking painful and very costly. But yes, we could. But do we have could we sail a battleship tomorrow? Fuck no. That's what he was saying. Stop misrepresenting people were saying.
I don't really
Schrodinger,
know if I'm misrepresenting that. They haven't gone back to the
Schrodinger,
moon.
Schrodinger, can I interject some possible clarity to this statement?
Yes, sir, please.
All right, David, that quote that you were referring to, what it was referencing was the loss of the technology of the Saturn V rocket platform, and also the specific machining tools required in the production process of each stage. So in order to restart the entire program from scratch today, they would first have to remanufacture the tools required just for basic manufacture of the platform itself. In order to do that, it is less cost beneficial as opposed to letting the private industry develop its own advancements based on the older technology and make it more efficient and more usable from there, which is actually where we currently are with Blue Origin, with SpaceX, with JAXA, and with the other entities that are giving that platform to leave low Earth orbit from a payload standpoint now. It's not that the potential has been lost. It is the ability to manufacture the tools required was lost. It's actually, if you go into other areas, is it Boeing or McDonnell Douglas? It's McDonnell Douglas who manufactures the F-22 Raptor. The U.S. Air Force would love to increase their to do another flight of production of the F-22. However, they can't do that due to the destruction of certain pieces required for the production because the company was told, we're not buying anymore. So rather than keep unnecessary tools from production on hand, they destroyed them. So the actual stop for restarting production on that airframe is because the company made a fiscal decision to not keep stock that they saw as pointless. Do you understand how those things interplay?
What I don't understand is that in 50 years that they're still talking about using the same engine that was developed 50 years ago. You would think that they would have gotten some, had some experience with engines and said, okay, we can do this, this, and this. I mean, for me, I'm fine. If you guys want to believe that, that's fine. But it really doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I look at a car from 1970, and you look at a car made in 2018, and it's like you're looking at a spaceship compared to one from 1970 because technology progresses.
Okay, now go back to GM and tell them to rebuild a period-specific 1970 CUDA with the original tooling. Are they going to be able to?
Why are we talking about building another? Why are you talking about building a replica, though? What I'm saying is
no. It's not building a replica. It is completely remanufacturing the original piece to the original specifications by the original means. That is what quote from the gentleman at NASA said. And we don't have the technology to use that platform anymore. We have to redesign everything from the ground up.
But what I'm saying is that why would they want to be designing something from 50 freaking years ago when you'd think that they would be able to have their rocket scientist little guys with so much? Remember, you were just saying 5 minutes ago, you were telling me how much technology has progressed since 1966. Now you're telling me we'd still have to be building the same rocket. So it kind of doesn't make sense. That's a step in 1969.
Okay, let me break this down to you kindergarten style.
Can I ask a question first? Can I just ask one
quick second, Craig? One quick second, Craig. The quote that you were putting forth missed all the context. What I was supplying to you was the context of why that quote was worded in that way, because the actual question that sparked it is, well, why don't we just use the Apollo style of platform again? And the reason why is because we cannot remanufacture the Saturn V rocket to begin with, which is why we need these newer additions, the advanced changes of everything to go forward with it. The other problem is due to political leanings. After Skylab, there was no political clout to invest in going beyond low Earth orbit. So that's where the target of technological progression was to the shuttle missions and the profile of those missions in low Earth orbit. Now there is the funding and political clout and push to go further than low Earth orbit, which is why that technological progression is now being refocused to that goal.
I didn't know I was debating three people today. But that's all right.
Yeah, he was just offering some clarification. Right, let's get back to.
That's all right. Yeah, it's all right. 3-on-1 is fair. That's fair.
No, David, I apologize. Moderators, can I have my debate back, please?
Yep.
Fine.
Go for it. I was just adding the clarification of what was missed on a relevant topic that I've known for 20 years.
And I don't mind interjection, but this is a one-on-one.
Go for it.
Let's. Okay. Dave,
10 minutes, by the way.
That's actually what I was about to ask. You like to talk about the Chicago skyline, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we pull up slide 15, please, sir?
Oh God, what have I done with the slides? One sec, I've deleted the slides off my page. Oh, there we go. Slide 15, did you say?
Yes, 15.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slide 15. There we go.
What's happening here? That was a question.
I'm trying to say it's kind of blurry. So you're saying where are all these buildings?
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
That was Josh Nowicki's photo.
Oh, here I can see it.
one
Okay,
that-
it didn't come up. I can see it now, clear. From what I have come to understand is that your horizon line there is like, I don't know how to explain this. I guess it raises up due to our perspective, like wave action and what's basically wave action from the further distance you go is going to have a greater effect. Like, so a 1 foot wave is going to be covering quite a bit of the like maybe 50 or 100 feet, whatever it might be, of buildings below. So what you're seeing, that would be the reason. I would turn the question around and say, why am I seeing those buildings at all? Which is even stranger when to me you shouldn't be seeing them at all.
I can answer that one. Craig, can you play 21 has a link, and this will answer the question that you just asked. Slide 21.
17, 18, 19, 20.
Mirage, I should have said, I guess. It's more of a mirage.
Chicago,
wave, like the waves.
Chicago boat test one, yeah?
No, it's the one right after that. Josh Nowicki video.
Oh, Josh Nowicki video. Okay, got it.
Let's see what happens in a time lapse to the Chicago skyline. Holy shit, you can see a lot and then a little and then a lot and then a little. Now, when you talk about this picture from the Chicago skyline, did you know that that's not a picture, that's a freeze frame from a video? When you scream at people on the boardwalk about the Chicago skyline, did you know that's a freeze frame from a video?
I thought it was a photo, actually.
Okay. Did you think that maybe before you print out these giant banners and go out onto the boardwalk and scream at teenagers, that maybe you should check? Like maybe, just maybe?
Whether it's a photo, what does that have to do? I don't understand whether it's a photo or a freeze frame of a video. It's an image.
Okay,
No?
because if you had just watched the video that Craig just played, you would see that that skyline goes up, down, up, down. All of a sudden you see tons of the buildings, and then you see almost none of them, and then you see ton of them, and then none of them. So any charlatan can go cherry pick the very best one that shows a ton of the skyline, and then people like Dave print it out, put it on a giant billboard, go out onto the boardwalk in New Jersey and scream at teenagers about it.
Well, that just doesn't refute. That doesn't refute though that it's a. That doesn't prove that it's a ball or that it's not flat. I mean, the miraging effect. That's a mirage effect that's taking place. That's why it's moving up and down, right?
Okay. What are the biggest words on your banners? The Earth is what? It starts with an
I think
F,
I normally.
it ends in a T.
I was saying research flat Earth, but yeah, I guess I say Earth is flat now. Yeah. I don't think. I really don't think. I know we're not on a ball.
Yeah. So you were just saying that that picture doesn't prove that the Earth is flat. Yes, but your banner says the Earth is flat, and one of the most prominent pictures on your banner is that Chicago skyline.
Right. Well, there's photos of mountains. I forget the mountain range from like 150 miles that you can only see a couple times a year. And there's supposed to be multiple miles. There's just so many instances of us seeing things we shouldn't see. I'm not going to beat a horse to death. I mean, if you wanted,
That begs another question. How long have you been doing this?
A couple years, maybe. Not doing what, like investigating this stuff or wondering, questioning this?
No. Your street activism.
Oh, like a year.
Okay, a year. And you have what, 100 and some odd videos on your channel?
Like, yeah, whatever.
And you haven't bothered to even know the names of the observations that you were just stumbling through when you were just saying the mountains from somewhere, something.
Yeah, it's funny. There's just a lot, like for myself. I've never been a seriously detail oriented person, but as far as like being able to use my common sense, I mean, when someone's legs are blown off and no blood comes out of them, I find that to be strange. Other people think that's normal.
And
So
I would be happy to talk to you about that, but not on Craig's channel because that's disrespectful to his channel. I would be happy to talk to you about that because I definitely can fix your perception of that, but we're not going to do that here. Let's see. You scream at, again, high school children that the Vatican owns the largest.
Why do you insinuate you're telling like what is that? You constantly say I'm just attacking kids. I don't just I speak to anybody who's interested, and I have a lot of kids who come up to me and they're already like they know that the government is bullshit. They laugh at their teachers and that they know that school is training them to be a good slave. I don't attack anybody. Most of the people come up to me, speak to me.
Now, I will retract that for the sake of argument. You say to people that the Vatican owns the largest telescope in the world, correct? And that it's called Lucifer. Correct?
I had said that in the past. I don't really use that anymore because I don't think that I think that like they renamed it or some shit. I don't know. I don't think I've said that in quite some time. But I used to. I did.
Craig, can you bring 26, please?
2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. So we got 2 minutes to burn.
1 sec.
How do I use GPS in the middle of the ocean? Okay, well, so here we are. That wasn't 2 minutes. That's the list of the 10 largest telescopes in the world. Which one of them is called Lucifer, please, sir?
I can't read it, but I am assuming none. Oh, there it is. None.
Okay. Are you aware of, I'm assuming, well, no, I'm not assuming because I've heard you say that you are a born-again Christian. The website Answers in Genesis has posted multiple articles saying that there is no telescope called Lucifer. Can I get a promise from you that you will stop telling people that the Vatican owns a telescope called Lucifer and that it's the largest telescope in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I think though at one time it was named Lucifer. Is that not correct?
That is not correct.
Really?
Answers in Genesis, amongst multiple other citations that I can give you, say that that is a rumor, and that it is not only not now, but was never true.
Okay. I mean, if they've.
Okay, now can you tell me, how do I get GPS in the middle of the ocean?
And that'll be our final point.
I'm not an expert in GP. I'm not an expert, so I couldn't tell you in a million years.
Okay, well then I guess we can go to questions from the audience, I suppose.
Question.
Yeah, just to clarify though, the reason why you can get GPS in the middle of the ocean is because satellites are a thing.
Yeah, that's what I was aiming at.
Yeah, so at this point, if anybody in the chat has any questions for either Schrodinger's cat or Zoom Truth, please feel free to post anything you want, and I'll try and read out some of the best ones for everybody. Just while the questions are coming in, thank you Schrodinger's cat and thank you Zoom Truth for what's been quite a good debate so far. No shouting and stuff, so that's always appreciated. And I apologize, Zoom Truth, for trying to jump in. You've said so many things that have triggered me, and I want to say why you're wrong, but it's not my debate. But I do want a debate against you, and I would love to arrange that. Okay, right. So for you, Zoom Truth, Sean137 says, why does Orion disappear in the summer in the UK? Zoom, that's for you.
Oh, what was that? A question on space?
Yeah, why does Orion disappear during the summer in the UK?
I don't know.
Schrodinger's cat, would you like to answer?
I would say because the tilt of the Earth tilts 23.5 degrees, I would say, away from the sun in the northern hemisphere in our winter, and 23.5 degrees towards the sun in our summer. And don't quote me on that because I could be wrong. That's my best educated guess on to answer that question.
Okay. But the point is that was very close. I'm pretty sure that's actually the correct answer. But yeah, that is the reason, because, we're in space and stuff. Let me get another question.
I got one right here from MA2 Fletcher. This is for you, David. What sources do you use when you do your research?
I can answer
what
that.
sort? I've read a few books. I watch YouTube videos, and I look at people who are actually out there doing experiments and showing things that real life. I would say.
Do you have any sort of bias in what you look at for your research, or do you look at all results? Do you have a bias to one result or another, or do you look at all evidence?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think everybody's biased. I used to think I lived on a freaking ball, so I don't know what happened, but somehow I ended up thinking now that I don't live on a ball. I would say I was biased to thinking I lived on a ball, because when I first heard about this stuff, I called them idiots for saying it, but whatever you want to, whatever it's, I guess that would be an opinion, really.
All right.
I've got a quick follow-up.
Yep, go on.
Hey, Zoom Truth, can you ask, you're an acquaintance with Marilyn's spirit level, correct?
Yep.
Can you ask her why she refuses to debate me?
I mean, I haven't been in contact with her too long. We kind of went our separate ways, but
if you have her email, could you just shoot her an email and ask her why she refuses to debate me?
She keeps coming onto my channel, leaving comments, then running away. But I've got a question for Zoom Truth. Okay, I am doing a science project called Project Eratosthenes. Currently in contact with the Guinness Book of World Records because it might actually be the biggest joint collaborative science project the world has ever seen. In this experiment, we are going to repeat Eratosthenes' observations of measuring the angle of a shadow cast by the sun on the stick at solar noon. I'm going to get people from all over the world, currently close to 3,000 people involved. At their solar noon, they're going to measure the angle and they're going to send me the data. And I'm going to program all this data onto a globe and a flat Earth. Now, if the observations come out to show that the Earth is a globe, and then I can use those observations to calculate the circumference of the Earth, would that convince you that the Earth is a sphere that we are told? If I can get 3,000 independent observations, and from those observations calculate the circumference of the planet, would that convince you that the Earth is round?
Well, I don't. Well, I guess there's an argument being made, right? I know that there's an argument that says that if the sun was small and close, that it would be able to like replicate what takes place on the ball. You're
right, with two observations. If Eratosthenes' experiments were completed, just use two, then it can be right on a flat or a ball. But I'm using well over 2,500 independent observations, and I'm going to program those. I'm not doing this with any bias. Yes, I have a bias, of course I do, but I am doing this experiment to determine the shape of the Earth, and I'm going to program the data onto a globe and onto a flat plane to see which one better reflects with reality. Now, if it shows that the Earth is flat, I will change the name of my channel and become a flat earther. But if it shows that the Earth is a sphere, I can then use that data to calculate the circumference of the Earth. And then if I do that and I get the circumference of the Earth that we are told, surely that is confirmation that the Earth is a sphere, right?
Well, that would certainly be that's an interesting experiment. I'm not sure that would completely eliminate it, because my problem is I still have a problem with water. Water always finds its level. I have a problem with that. The vacuum, supposed vacuum of space. So, but that's the thing. I still honestly see, that's where I get just. I can't hear right now, but I get a little like there's things that I cannot explain about flat Earth, right? But what I don't understand is how people who think they live on a ball, there's nothing that you find that seems out of where you have to go, I believe this. Whether it's the Big Bang of that, everything you believe, so you literally know and have an explanation for it.
That's absolutely not true. No. When I don't understand something, I don't print up a billboard and take to the streets. I try to find the answer. You're saying that there's these things that you don't understand, but you're not looking for the answer. Any one of us, between the three of us, we could probably answer 90% of the questions that you have.
Okay, well then here, let me fire in. Let me ask you, because I don't understand this. The guy just made a video.
In the middle of my sentence.
Right,
why are you doing that?
Let's see what it is.
Let him finish it, David. Yeah. Well, let's let Cliff finish his point, and then we'll get to David's question.
All right.
Yeah. Rather than just not knowing the answer, why are you not trying to find the answer? What you're doing is using the thing that you don't understand as a crutch to just be like, I don't understand, therefore, whatever. It's fine to say I don't know or I don't understand. When you take it one step further and say I don't understand, therefore, that's where you make an error. I don't understand, fine. I don't understand, therefore, that's where you fuck up.
All right. I don't understand how NASA has a vacuum chamber, and somebody just made a video on this, that needs to be 10 feet thick of cement with steel encased, 1 inch of steel, in order to maintain that vacuum. and yet you can then put on a suit made out of fabric and keep yourself protected from that same, in fact, a vacuum, which is a magnitude, I believe it's an order of magnitude higher than the one that NASA can produce. I don't understand that.
Do you know what a vacuum is?
Right. So
that was the question.
Is your confusion as to how there can be an atmosphere on the planet when we're in a vacuum of space? Is that what you're confused about?
No, his direct question was related to the vacuum chamber that is in Ohio and being able to go inside it when it is depressurized in a suit that is rated for use on EVAs at the ISS, and how that works.
Well, no, what I'm actually asking is...
Am I under...
No, what I'm saying,
so that...
I don't think you're understanding. The actual vacuum itself needs to be, in order to contain that vacuum in Earth's pressure system, right, they need 10 feet thick walls, right? They need to encase steel so that thing doesn't crumble, right, under the pressure of our atmosphere, right? So in the opposite means, when you go into a vacuum and you're maintaining that pressure system within your suit, how is it? I just don't see how fabric can contain a pressure system when.
Okay. What is Earth's pressure? What is atmospheric pressure at sea level, please, sir?
I have no idea.
Oh, really?
14.7 psi. Now, how hard is it to create a suit that you could pressurize to 14.7 psi?
I don't even understand that question. Have you built a suit before? I haven't.
I have worn Kevlar before. Kevlar that can stop a 357 Magnum round at point blank range.
Right, but that's not building a space suit. You just asked me, I mean, you have no experience. This is what I'm talking about. Like you're acting like you know how to build a space suit.
Let me clarify this for you. The difference between the inside and the outside of that vacuum chamber is 1 atmosphere. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's 1 atmosphere. The tires on your car have 3 times that pressure.
Well, so here's what I understand as the question. Why does it take this amount of material for the vacuum chamber to hold this differential versus the suit as your understanding of its construction? Am I correct in understanding your question, David?
I believe so.
Okay, so foundational type of follow-up questions for clarification. Do you understand what permeability is?
I'm going to guess.
I think I have a good idea, sure.
How something can seem solid, but you can actually get material to pass through it. Here's a question for you. Is concrete impermeable?
No.
But it is a strong reinforcing material, correct?
I mean, it depends on what we're talking about, but, it depends upon the context, right?
I believe we just found the lack in your understanding. You are not willing to let yourself listen and logically follow a point when you know it's going to lead you right around and fuck you up the ass.
I don't have my other.
Well, if I don't know where you're headed, I don't think I can. I'm listening to what you're trying to say. It's.
I've been in this game far too long, dude. Stop trying to bullshit me.
Yeah.
Game. It's a game.
It is a game at this point because there isn't anything new that flat earthers can bring us. We are just arguing the same points over and over, and the problem is that you don't understand. And I'm not being rude here. Or maybe I am a little bit because stupidity is annoying. But the issue here is that you don't understand. And that is the only problem. There is no problem with the physics or the maths or the science.
I agree.
And
I agree.
And because you don't understand, therefore you know the Earth isn't a sphere. What kind of logical jump is that?
No, what I don't understand is how there is not one single thing that you look at and you say, how is that possible? How am I believing that this entire universe came from a Big Bang, and that all the mathematics required with the Big Bang?
Right. Here is the big problem I have with that is all right, sorry. Carry on.
Why are you talking about the Big Bang when this debate is about the shape of the Earth?
Because what I'm trying to get to is that if you're not comfortable saying I don't understand something, I will not be able to understand it. I cannot understand it. It's unanswerable.
But it's not.
Okay. Now, go ahead. Go finish your statement, please.
Well, if you're not, what you're saying is that you know that the suit, can handle the vacuum of space. Yet you've never taken the suit. You've never entered into a vacuum wearing the suit yourself, right? You've never done that. As far as the atmosphere moving with the Earth, spinning with it, you've never proven that yourself, right? You've never done that. So
Bob
you can't. So because, excuse me?
Bob proved it. It's cool.
No. Greg, please.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, what I'm like, there's certain. Maybe one person thinks that they did, right? But I don't know if Schrodinger's cat has, and if he hasn't, then wouldn't it be fair to say I don't know? Or you're willing to just say because this scientist guy is telling me, and I know that he's a smart guy because he works for NASA.
Now, okay, thank you. That was very informative. Now, when you go out onto the New Jersey boardwalk with your signs, does it say I don't know, or does it say the Earth is flat?
Well, my main sign says research flat Earth, but I have quite a few signs that say Earth is flat now.
Okay. Do you have a sign that says I don't know?
I say I don't know frequently.
That was not my question. Do you have a sign that says I don't know, or does your sign say the Earth is flat or research flat Earth?
Yeah, it says research flat Earth, but no, I don't have one that says I don't know.
Maybe you should go.
Okay. That's basically what I was getting at.
Yeah, I'm comfortable, dude. I might literally get one and do that for you, just to show you. There's a million things that I don't understand. If you're going to tell me that you know how the Big Bang happened and how all piece by piece you can explain all of that for me, I'm all ears. I would love to hear your story.
I am happy to have a Big Bang debate with you.
I don't want to debate. I want you to teach me the Big Bang. Teach me the Big Bang from the inception. Go ahead and teach me that one.
Actually, Craig is the host. Craig, was this debate about the shape of the Earth, or was it about the Big Bang?
It was about the shape of the Earth, and the Big Bang is basically irrelevant to that.
Really? It is?
Yeah. Because Big Bang has nothing to do with the fact that we can measure the planet as a sphere.
Of course it has something to do with it. If the Earth was created by a creator, you don't need the Big Bang, do you? Which then leads to the possibility of flat Earth being true. No?
That just means there's a magic man in the sky.
No.
I used to think like you guys did with the magic man. I used to be you.
No, David, what you did there was actually called a logical leap. You asserted A and asserted A equals B while showing no direct causation or linkage between the two. You can't do that. See, and because here's the thing,
I'm saying it opens the possibility to it being flat. What I'm trying to get to is that none of you know what created what started this. None of you.
Yeah, I do.
None of you.
Yeah, I do.
And please, somebody tell me that they know how everything came about. One of you, please tell me that you know that.
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
There you go.
And by the way, the origin of the cosmos as we can observe and detect and measure it is immaterial to the shape of the ground beneath your feet.
I don't know, man. It's like
You
crazy.
can determine. You
You guys really
can
trust the government?
determine
Do you guys trust the government 100%? Just out of curiosity.
immaterial. Immaterial.
It makes no difference
Well,
to the
actually
shape
is
of the Earth.
material.
The
The
government
government
didn't
would
know
have-
me the shape the Earth is.
If you trust the
okay.
government, then the shape of the Earth cannot be. It couldn't be flat because you believe you know that the government doesn't lie, right?
All
Isn't this
right,
true?
The
David.
government created the Earth.
Wait, David, what does the government's abilities have to do with my ability to take a simple device and go outside and do the work myself?
Now, you say, Dave, that the horizon rises to eye level, correct?
Yes. It looks
Okay.
like it does.
Does the government? How does the government do that? And if I could prove to you that the horizon does not rise to eye level, what would that do to your notion that it does?
I really haven't seen anybody. The only evidence of that taking place, I guess, is from the ISS, right? I mean, all the balloon photos, all the balloon pictures I see. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Slide 4, please, Craig.
Slide 24, no worries. All right, and after this one, this is the last one.
Super chats.
Move on to super chats and final thoughts.
I'm having too much fun.
Okay.
I could do this all night.
Multiple sons. Okay, right. Here we
I
go.
don't understand why you guys are so confident. It's so weird.
Because I understand
he's good.
physics.
Like math,
good at
the
this.
math, like guys.
David, I will say this now as Craig brings this up. David, if you want to continue this discussion with me off air so I can really answer your questions directly without having to hold back, I would love to have that conversation with you. But until then, let's go ahead and get back to what's on the screen.
Are we going to have an after show? Because that would be fun too.
Oh, I've been streaming for like 8 hours. I need to go to bed.
You know
Yeah.
you know what, Dave, if you want to stick around, we'll hop over to my channel for an after show and we can have this discussion.
It's not.
Yeah,
The thing,
Up to you. It's up to you. You keep saying you have these questions. I do have a lot of knowledge on a number of issues that I am willing to share with you in a respectable manner.
See,
If
the
you are
problem
willing,
is this.
we can do that.
Check this out. I would like to do it, but here's the problem. I can't even speak about things that I want to speak about because YouTube will close down your channel. Where do we live where you guys think that's normal?
Well, freedom of speech doesn't exist on YouTube.
Why is that?
If you would like,
Because it's
if
owned
you
by a corporation.
if you would like to go into that, we can do that on this other platform after we finish the topic that is the purpose of this show.
But,
and I'm happy to show up for that.
but I think we can see with the video in front of us that is indicated that the horizon does not rise to eye level as you raise an altitude.
I don't know. But the fact is that you don't know where the where that thing is pointed, whether it's pointed up or down.
Yeah, there's
Come on. That's not proof in and of itself.
Well,
What, are you kidding me?
Wait. You know that drones have like instruments to make sure that they are like level and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can actually set it so that it will be pointing exactly level. That's the whole point of that observation. And the
Who
arrow.
did that observation? How come that's like it's very strange that
actually that was a flat earther. That was all from Red.
You know what I'd like to do? I like we should just look on people who have done drone footage, random drone footage on YouTube, and
Yeah,
just
sure.
look at random ones.
Just go to
You know,
Rhetoric's channel, go to Sean Hufford's channel, go to
No, I don't need to go to their channel. I'm saying
our
you just
Luke's
look up drone.
channels. I mean, I'm giving you random channels on YouTube that all have drone footage showing that the altitude doesn't rise with to eye level. But
Craig, I would like to do.
That's pretty weak,
if we could,
but whatever.
I would like to show one last image
okay, dokie.
before we go to super chats. It's the very last one. Dave, you like to say that the photos from space are fake because the continent sizes. Correct?
I still
Dave?
have that one. I really don't use that too frequently anymore because I've seen where they
Slide 28.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I know.
I don't have a 28. It only goes up to 27.
That's all right. I know where he's going with it.
It's the new one that I just sent you.
Oh, you
I
sent
sent
me.
it to you. Yeah, it's the latest one that I sent you.
I thought that was the latest one. No, that's on the latest one you sent me. It only goes up to 27.
Damn it, Craig. Okay, never mind. I will describe it then, and I am happy to repost it later. I took my globe, this globe here, into my backyard, and I took a picture of Africa at 0 zoom, and then I backed up and I took it again at max zoom, but with the same amount of the globe in the picture frame. And guess what? At 0 zoom, Africa was bigger than it was at maximum zoom, even though it took up the actual globe took up the same amount of the frame. So when you tell these people when you're out there proselytizing that the continents look different sizes and therefore the pictures are fake, no, they're not. If you are farther away and you're using more zoom, guess what? The continents are going to look smaller.
Well, I think, when you see evidence of the clouds being duplicated, when you see sex written in the clouds, it brings up, it's not one piece of evidence that lends one to start to question NASA. It's when there's thousands and thousands of little pieces of evidence.
If I could, right, before we get to super chats, I just want to debunk what you've just said. The clouds being reproduced in multiple places. Yes, they did do that because that wasn't a picture of the globe, and they said that was a mixture of all the different pictures put together. And yes, they did add clouds in because that wasn't an actual photo, and they never said it was. And as for sex being written in the clouds, actually that looks more like FEQ when I look at it. It looks nothing like sex.
All right. Well, you actually have to flip it over and do all kinds of nonsense to it to even make it look like sex.
Yeah. I mean, it just it's just ridiculous that there is some people sitting in a room going, I know what, we're going to fucking hide sex in them clouds just to screw over them fucking globe earthers. It's ridiculous.
What if it was a NASA employee who's trying to leave a clue that they can get out without their boss seeing it, right? I mean, people always say, oh, why are there no whistleblowers? Well, maybe they don't want to get, maybe they're going to get killed if they open their mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. 18,000 employees are all under threat of death, and not one of them that have ever currently working for or has worked for in the past is going to whistleblow. No, it's not a poor argument. It's ridiculous. And again,
listen, I own a business, right? I own a business. I own a business, right? And if you're going to be laying off like 5 people, let's say 100 people are working for you, and you got 10 people in your office who are management, let's say, you're going to discuss what 5 are going to get the axe, right? None of the other 90 people in your business have any clue what's going on, and yet. So there's a conspiracy taking place right there.
Of course. So NASA are so NASA are purposely compartmentalizing the 18,000 people to pay them extortionate salaries to do a job that doesn't matter. No, it makes no fucking sense. And now we're moving on to super chats because everything you said has had no substance.
Let me first say this: Bradley Manning Bradley Manning gave up his entire life to give up secrets that were monumentally smaller than the shape of the Earth. And you're telling me that there are all these people out there who are taking these secrets to their grave when Bradley Manning was like, hold on, fuck it, I'm giving this shit up.
Yeah. None of it makes
How
sense.
How do you know?
Right.
How do you?
Okay, right. Stop.
How do you know
It's time to stop.
It's even true. But how do you know what he says?
David, it's time to stop. Honestly, if you would like to carry this on, then I know Jared is more than happy to take over to his channel. But
Yeah.
The event is already made.
Yeah, it is time now to start wrapping this show up. I want to thank both Schrodinger's cat and David from Zoom Truth for coming in and having this debate. I'd like to thank Schrodinger's cat for all the evidence he brought and Zoom Truth for the absolute nothing that he brought. And now I'm going to read the super chats. So we have $12 from Tim Pryor. Too many inconsistencies translated. Oh, my brain did not understand. $2 from Jared Stain. So are there any conspiracies he doesn't believe? No, he went through quite a few. $12 from Tim Pryor. How many minutes in and still no proof of flat Earth? Shocking. $2 from Space Comma. By the way, I was an FO for an artillery battery in the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service. $5.
Forward observer.
Yeah. $5 US dollars from Andrew Stoll. One shows slides to prove his side. The other has word salad BS. 10 Australian dollars from Rachel Daniels. I see you have your work cut out for you. Yeah, keeping my mouth shut was a hard job there, trust me. $5 from Space Comma. Here we go again. If they were that powerful, you'd be dead. $1.99 from Stephen Steen. Freaking heat shield keeps timing me out. Stephen, I love you. $10 from Tig Logan 16. I don't know. Zoom Truth 2019. $2 from Space Comma. Yep, he'd be dead. $5 from Sif. If it doesn't matter if NASA or anyone else lied, the shape of the Earth has been verified by many independently. $2 from Andrew Stoll. NASA assumes a flat Earth to make the math easy. $12 from Tim Pryor. Tell him to try to get a part for a 1955 Chevy Bel Air and see how difficult it is. It's not that we lost the technology, we advanced. What an idiot. $2 Canadian from Brainy Beaver. Fight the deception is a baby eater. I have proof. $12 from Tim Pryor. If it does not matter if it's 100 to 1 debate, you still cannot answer a question or understand third grade crap. $2 from Andrew Stoll. Latest conspiracy. Zoom Truth is a NASA shill. Ooh, confirmed. $10 from Bearded Devil 1864. Zoom Truth. What do you believe is the distance travelled by the sun in 24 hours as it traverses along the equator during the equinoxes? And what is the linear velocity in miles per hour? Any idea?
Are you kidding me? No.
Okay. $1.99 from Stephen Steen. Team Zoom Truth. Space $5. If you become a flat earther, can I have your NASA pay? Yes, absolutely. NASA won't let me become a flat earther though. $12 from Tim Pryor. Oh, for the love of God, please tell him water finding its level. It's a globe prediction. Stop using it as evidence. $5 Australian from Bombay. Zoom, have a Coke and a Prozac, adopt a dog, and maybe try to enjoy the rest of your life. $5 Australian from John Rapp. Zoom Truth has a huge gap in his knowledge. He misunderstands so many things, especially and consistently scale and magnitude. $2 from Space full circle back to they. $5 from Andrew Stoll. The vacuum chamber in question was first used to study nuclear power in a vacuum, hence 10-foot thick walls. Yeah, the 10-foot thick walls are actually radiation shielding. $20 US from Tim Pryor. Tell Zoom Truth, thank you for proving my point. He's doing the same crap to you guys as he did to me in his comment section. He can't answer questions. If it doesn't make sense to him, then it must not be true. $1.99 from Stephen Steen. If the Earth was a ball, we'd have pictures of it, idiots. I know, Stephen, I know. No pictures at all. None. Absolutely. $1.99 from Evil Scotsman. Yet we have no pics of the flat Earth. $2 Canadian from Alan Beaupierre. Sorry if I ruined your name there. Mr. Flat Earth, what would change your mind? Yeah, Zoom Truth. What would change your mind and convince you the Earth was round?
I want to do that experiment with the water level where we fill up a tube, and then we're going to lay it out over 2 miles and look for a hump. So that would if I saw a hump there, that would do it. Okay. Water for me is.
I think the important thing in that experiment is that you learn the definition of level before you do it. Okay. Space $2, and he sees why it's ridiculous. He'd be dead. $5 from Jeffrey Greyjack. Thanks, FTFE, for another great debate. Thank you very much for your super chat. 10 Australian dollars from John Rapp. Whoever coined the moronic phrase, the horizon always rises to eye level, I would like to meet alone. Let's see. Large barrel, check. Bone saw, check. 40 litres of hydrochloric acid, check.
And the name you're looking for, Eric Dubé.
Yeah. And last one, $20 Australian dollars from Bombay. A NASA employee sits in her office, scared of their lives about the shape of the Earth and the globe lie. Before enforcers come to take her out, she has the chance to hide one clue in the photo, so she types sex in a cloud. And I think that is everything for tonight. Guys, it's been a busy night. I was on Team Skeptics channel and I've had 2 debates. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. Before we go, I would like to say that good friend BM Furball recently had a interview with Mr. Flat Earth himself, Mark Sargent. If my lovely mods could please put that in the chat. Thank you, AT2.
Already on it.
It's an amazing interview, and props to BM Furball for getting that done. Also, my good friend Marvel Girl recently today released her new video. Please also go and check that out and subscribe to Marvel Girl if you haven't already. Jared, thank you for moderating. Schrodinger's Cat and Zoom Truth, thank you very much, guys, for coming and sharing your thoughts on the shape of the Earth. But for now, guys, remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat Earth. Fight the flat. 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 Fight the flat.